The Githyanki and the Githzerai were so profoundly scared by their enslavement to the Mind Flayers that they forgot they were one race, united. Having won their freedom, they wage war against each other with hatred none can fully comprehend. Aristal, the Yellow. Wait, why is he the Yellow? All Gith are yellow. What made him so much more yellow? Why can't I find the answer to this anywhere? Damn you wizards of the coast! Hello, my name is Matt, and welcome to My Hidden Nerdy Side, a channel created by a nerd who doesn't have many nerdy friends, and so I must rant to you. Today we're going to talk about the Gith, a race I find isn't too often explored in homebrew worlds, but has a terrifically rich backstory to pull from to create quests and even entire campaigns around. We're going to take a look into that lore and build an encounter you can steal, modify, and plop directly into your game. If you are well aware of the lore and mechanics behind the Gith, then feel free to pop on over to the timestamp right here so you can jump straight to the encounter itself. I'll leave a clickable version of it in the description below. Also, if you like what I do here, stick around and subscribe. I'll be putting out at least one of these videos every week and hopefully additional content the more this channel grows. Okay, let's get started. So you could easily make an hour-long video on the lore surrounding these guys since it's so vast and touches on many other parts of the D&D universe. So I'm just going to be providing a bullet point version in order to keep this video a decent length. So, a long time ago, the Gith were actually one united race that were actually called something else, but their original name has been lost throughout the ages. They used to be enslaved by the Mind Flayers and tried to rebel and earn their freedom over and over again, but were crushed every time until a strong leader named Gith, who became the namesake of the race, led the people to victory. The leader, Gith, wanted to continue pursuing the Mind Flayers and run a militaristic society to crush any other enemies that would oppose the Gith. However, during the rebellion, another leader among the Gith named Zerthimon rose in popularity, and he opposed Gith's views, saying that forcing the Gith to continue fighting was just another form of slavery. These leaders clashed, and eventually the Gith split into two different factions, the Githyanki, the followers of Gith, and the Githzerai, the disciples of Zerthimon. So, some quick facts on the Githyanki. The Githyanki plunder countless worlds from the decks of their astral vessels and the backs of red dragons. That's straight out of the Monster Manual and is one of the coolest sentences ever written. They are a heavily warfaring and xenophobic militaristic society who despise all other races and cultures. They primarily exist in the astral plane and raid other races enough to leave a few survivors and resources so the race can restore and replenish, only so the Githyanki can come back and raid them again, which is 9 parts insanely messed up and 1 part kinda funny. I mean, like, it's fucked up, but like, kinda funny. When Gith passed away, her advisor Vlaakith, a Lich Queen, took over as the leader and forbade worship of anyone but herself. The Githyanki are said to use special silver swords crafted to fight Mind Flayers, and some are said to ride red dragons into battle after Gith made a secret deal with the dragon goddess Tiamat. And finally, since creatures on the astral plane can't age, the Githyanki come to the material plane to raise their young. Alright, so now some facts about the Githzerai. Like you may guess, they're quite the opposite from the Githyanki, as they pursue more philosophical and monastic lifestyles. Under the guidance of Zerthimon, they have learned to better harness their psychic and mental energy. They aren't opposed to fighting, but fighting is much more of a personal thing to them, and there needs to be a good reason for it. They live in the plane of ever-changing chaos, Limbo, which is essentially just a destructive and dangerous collection of matter and energy. However, the Githzerai have learned to tame the elemental energy within Limbo and create sanctuaries within it. They live in a meritocracy where the wisest and most skilled in combat rise in power. They still form hunting parties to hunt down the Mind Flayers because they have not forgotten what they did to them. And they rarely come to the material plane, but when they do, it's to establish a monastery to teach and spread the word of Zerthimon. Here are the stat blocks for the main creatures you'll encounter within the Githyanki and the Githzerai, but of course homebrew to your heart's content. We won't spend too much time talking about them, so you can pause the video and give them a good read if you're interested. Essentially, both the Githyanki and the Githzerai do physical and psychic damage. So they're a good choice if you want some damage variety or you just want to knock down your cocky totem barbarian a peg. They both have innate spellcasting, and the more powerful units can use plane shift, which is incredibly useful if you want to create a recurring antagonist. The Githyanki use regular or silver weapons, and the Githzerai use their fists. And the Githyanki are noted as lawful evil, and the Githzerai are noted as lawful neutral. So now that we finished the lore dump, let's start crafting the encounter. This encounter will be aimed at parties from around levels 6 to 10 depending on how difficult you want to make it, and aim to last around 1 to 2 sessions, maybe more. Alrighty, so the motivation for this quest is that there is an item inside of a temple that your party needs to retrieve. Unfortunately, that temple is located in the plane of ever-changing chaos, Limbo, or the equivalent to it in your homebrew world. What that thing is, or why your party needs to get it, is up to you. For simplicity's sake, we'll just say it's a powerful wand your party needs to seal away some dark entity. Now, obviously, a big question is, how is a level 6 to 10 party going to make it to Limbo? But this issue is easily dealt with by the party having some powerful NPCs say they'll transport them there for a short period of time, or a magical society could ritually summon them there. Maybe there is a long-standing portal to Limbo somewhere in your world, or whatever else you want to come up with. Now, Limbo, in the simplest terms, is a shit show. There are random pieces of land suspended in air with their own patches of gravity, pockets of liquids and gas just floating around, random occurrences of the 4 elements, and so on and so on. This gives you, the DM, so much freedom to create the wildest set pieces. Now, I'm usually a DM that doesn't like to focus too much on travel because it's usually pretty boring and just wastes time, but with all of the elemental and random shenanigans that can take place in this plane, even travel can be a blast. Maybe your party has to skip and hop strategically on some rocks surrounded by a river of fire. Maybe you have to dip and dodge through a meteor shower. They could be jumping from landmass to landmass having to deal with the randomly changing gravity. They could ride up some upside down waterfalls. It's literally a realm of ever-changing chaos. Get creative and set the stage for your players. Eventually, your party will come across a temple created out of pieces of the 4 elements and matter found across Limbo. The walls could be made out of ice, with one wall being a dripping torrent of lava. There could be a moat of black sludge surrounding the front, and an open roof you can see through but can't physically jump through because the air current is so strong. This is just a configuration I came up with on the spot, but feel free to make any wacky ass thing you can think of. Just know this is actually a sanctuary created by the Githzerai who are able to tame the elements of Limbo. In front of this temple, your party will run into a group of Githyanki who are plotting an ambush on the temple. They claim there is a traitorous group of Gith who are hiding mind flayers within the temple, and if the party helps the Githyanki take out the traitors, the Githyanki will let them take whatever they want from the temple. These traitorous Gith are actually Githzerai, but your party won't know that yet. If your party chooses to go that route, you will slay the Githzerai and enter the temple, where you will find the wand resting on a pedestal and a large blue magical barrier across the opposite side of a dark, dingy tunnel. If, however, you choose to talk with the Githzerai first, they will tell you that they know there are mind flayers in there, but they aren't protecting them. The mind flayers were too much for them to handle, so they had to use the wand to lock the mind flayers down in a section of the sanctuary. If the party helps the Githzerai take them out, they will give them the wand. What's great about this is it gives your party and you, the DM, so many options to choose. The party could just burst their way in there, kill the Githzerai, take the wand, and leave the mind flayers to the Githyanki. But the DM could also spring the mind flayers on the party, or have the Githyanki betray the party, claiming they need the wand for their own personal reason. The party could team up with the Githzerai, clean out the mind flayers, and then the DM could have the Githyanki ambush the party when they are weary, tired, and low on spell slots and abilities. The party could even try and create an open dialogue between the 2 Gith factions, and maybe they could come to a common understanding and realize that they both want the same thing, the elimination of the mind flayers. And then the DM could toss a bunch of elemental magical traps at the now large fighting force as they make their way down the dark tunnel to the mind flayers, showing the party a glimpse of what is to come. In the end, it's an encounter about 2 factions of the same race who really want the same thing. And yes, they have different ways of going about it, but at the end of the day, they love their own people. And well, they used to be one people. Or they could just go nuts and murder hobo the whole thing because, hey, it's D&D. Let them do what they gotta do. So, lots of ways this encounter could go. Truly wild, unique, and visual set pieces. Traveling that's actually fun. This encounter has it all. But, what if you wanted to make this encounter even spicier? Well, what if the Githzerai actually have been taken over by the mind flayers again, and if your party isn't careful, they could be led into an ambush? What if the specific Githzerai that help you take down the mind flayers are actually the ones who created the sanctuary? And for each one that dies, the temple begins to destabilize, causing all sorts of environmental havoc. And if they all die, the sanctuary caves in or violently explodes. If you want to beef up the level and difficulty of this encounter, you could have the Githyanki start attacking the temple riding atop younger red dragons. Maybe you could create an even wilder sanctuary and have to defend it against the Githyanki siege, instructing the Githzerai to form elemental traps and weapons with their minds to your exact specifications. In the plane of ever-changing chaos, anything is possible. But of course, these are just some of the ways you can use Gith in your role-playing games. There are tons of different ways to take this encounter and spice it up, so let me know what you would do in the comment section below so I can nerd out over them and smack myself in the head for not thinking of them. I'm going to be putting out at least one of these videos a week, so feel free to subscribe if you like the video and stay tuned for upcoming content. Thanks for watching and indulging my hidden nerdy side.